Then continuity of the 7 prayer that which has the first meaning about the Guru Padmasambhava's life story related with the how 7 prayer explains, and then as it goes through kind of more deeper, then it's very hidden meaning which relates to kind of a high level of understanding about the 7 prayer, and then according to the inner tantra or this kind of Dzogchen, the great perfection, then it is actually related with the Dzogchen, the great perfection, view or meditation, discipline, and then the fruition. Of course, we cannot possible to finish all this or complete kind of text this time because we don't have that much time, and then also we have tomorrow two sessions, and then the next day 1 session. But it is the very profound and vast according to this explanation. But I am hoping that we go through the beginning and then the possibly come to the hidden meaning of the 7 prayers. So, however, this morning we have gone through part that how this 7-line prayer came to exist, by the 100,000s of the Dakinis, wisdom Dakinis, when they want to pray to Guru Padmasambhava, then suddenly that this this prayer comes spontaneously within every single Dakini, and that way that first started, and then second the 7 prayer when in Nalanda, the great Buddhist university, when the just others who came there for debate, and then again according to the prediction of the Dakini Shivacho, saying that you better to invite Guru Padmasambhava to just be as the principal role that can feel confident about the debate, and for that since Guru Padmasambhava abiding in a very isolated and quiet, kind of like a channel ground, which ordinary people are almost not possible to travel there. So that is why the Dakini Ishicho prophesied that do that 7-line prayer, preparing all the offerings, and then with all the ritual kind of meetings with single pointed devotion and trust, and that way do this 7-line prayer, and then Guru will appear. So according to that, they did that 7-line prayer, and Guru kind of like instantly he appeared there at the Nalanda kind of university as the crown of the great Panditas, and then that which has gone through those kind of like debate. In the ancient time in India, because Buddhism, after Buddha came on this earth, then Buddha taught all the kind of Buddhist teachings, and then of course the Hinduism, even this Samkhya school, in Hinduism there are 5 Tirthankaras, 5 major schools, and the Samkhya school is one of the very oldest according to the kind of Hindu tradition. That before Shakyamuni Buddha came, that Samkhya school, that kind of teaching and those kind of practices are existing. So they have that kind of like a tradition to kind of have that very big discourse or debate among these two kind of like a philosophy, and then they back into whether whoever lose then have to kind of like transform into that winner's kind of like a philosophy and to follow. So it has been tradition. So that way how this the whole history is not just a story, but in the maybe 3rd or 4th century, that which was actually kind of happened in that way, and that is how after that the Saranam prayer became very popular, well known, that the power of invoking Guru Padmasambhava. So after that day, Guru Padmasambhava, as I mentioned this morning, how he come from India, Nalanda University, then come towards the northern part of India, and then also to Sikkim and Nepal, and then they went to Tibet in the 7th, 8th century, because the Dharma King, Tibetan Dharma King Tsewang Gyatso, he as he looked into the ancient history, ancestors, kind of royal families' wish, and it's only that they want to bring the Buddhism in Tibet. So according to that, the Dharma King Tsewang Gyatso invited Acharya Sri Chandra Rakshita, who was the abbot of the Nalanda University, and of course, kind of he made a concentrate on the Sutrayana, and then he want to establish this Samkhya monastery, that which had kind of 3 levels of kind of like temple according to 3 different kind of traditions. So as Acharya Chandra Rakshita and Dharma King Tsewang Gyatso tried to build the Samkhya monastery, then it is also just very natural. Everywhere there are negative forces or evil beings. Those because of their kind of previous karma and followed into negative side. So that's why they didn't like the Dharma to flourish. So that's why they started disturbing the building of the Samkhya monastery. So then the king became very upset. Oh, maybe I could not establish Buddhism in Tibet from the Arya, the land of the India, to Tibet, and then they just kind of feel very sad. And then Acharya Chandra Rakshita said, "Oh, don't worry, the kind of the great king, that there is the great tantric master in India, and we can invite him, and there is that the whole complete aspiration prayer about this Dharma King Tsewang Gyatso, Acharya Chandra Rakshita, Guru Padmasambhava. In many previous lifetimes, they have kind of done some aspiration prayer that they could be together to establish this kind of Dharma. And that is why it is possible to invite. And then according to that, Guru Padmasambhava came to Tibet, and there anyway, Buddha, Guru Padmasambhava taught mostly all the Tantra the outer Tantra, inner Tantra, especially the Dzogchen, the Adya-yoga Tantra, and at the same time, all the teachings of the Buddha from India. According to Mahayana, that's a Buddha taught Buddhism teaching in Sanskrit. But according to the Hinayana mostly flourished into Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Burma, Laos, Cambodia, and all those areas. Today also they are following the they say Theravada, Maha-Theravada kind of tradition, which is more concentrated into the Sutrayana. Among the Sutrayana, more about the Vinaya Sutra, mainly concentrate. Also they follow the Abhidhamma Sutra. But about the Sutra, like Prajna Paramita, they don't got flourished because they don't kind of like understand that in a proper way. However, that in Tibet, all those Buddha's teaching, that about 108 volumes, and then the commentaries written by the Indian scholars of more than 240 something volumes of teaching. That all like in Tibet about hundreds of great Pandita scholars of the just Indian master with the like Tibetan or Lota translator. Like those great Lota translators, because they learned Sanskrit, and according to that, all the Sutra, Tantra, everything translated into Tibetan, and that is how that today we have all the Tanjung and Tenjung, which means that whatever Buddha has taught, and all the Indian scholars, kind of like commentaries, almost all, kind of up to date in, kind of Tibetan language, today, kind of like existing. So that is why the Buddha's teaching is even kind of tiny bit of it is not lost. It is up to date. So that is why Buddha's time, as Buddha taught, give all this teaching, how many of them attained that liberation. And at the same time, Guru Padmasambhava at that time, how much kind of Vajrayana teachings were taught, and those who follow, how many of that got liberated at the Enlightenment. Like many hundreds, thousands of got liberated according to the religious history of kind of Buddhism. That very extensive one written by His Holiness Guru Rinpoche's kind of book, and these are all in English now. So I think once in a while it is good to read all those great masters in the life story, and that your just kind of your view of looking into this world, not just only the kind of the Buddhist history, but based on the existence of this world, existence of this kind of like a life, and our individual life as a whole, this kind of world, how all these things are kind of like existing, and what are their causes and conditions, how it can be kind of developed in a more positive way, or how it might kind of like degenerate in a more negative way. Everything is explained here. So in that Buddhism anyway, there is the whole complete cosmology of this earth, this our world. How science kind of talks about our earth, about these galaxies, stars, and then existence of and evolution of Earth or human evolution and civilizations in Haman, and that is much detail in Buddhism that how Buddha has taught, and there are so many other commentaries after this many great Tibetan masters educated and also engaging to practice and also have that realization. So according to that, have written so many kind of like commentaries, such as great Tibetan master Roger Ramjam, just have those 7 treasures. That's very extensive. That all great scholars they say, Longchenpa's text is equal to Buddha's his own teaching. So that much of the like this, not only in Tibetan, now these days many of them translated into English, and also Spanish, and many also in Chinese. Many different languages that have been translated. So we follow Buddhism and we follow Guru Padmasambhava, and now we have to have this knowledge that what is all about kind of like Buddha's teaching. We need to have that, and also that Guru Padmasambhava's kind of this inner kind of teaching, that how it is not just only important, but it is very valuable. That there is no anything that more valuable than this kind of like knowledge. That if we could gain those knowledge, and that just kind of changes complete your view of this world, your life, the existence, that how you live, it completely changes, and you gain very broad mind and very easy to kind of handle. For example, like small things like certain kind of sickness, disease, problems, obstacles, worldly issues, family issues, and individual kind of like a sickness. All those, once you have this knowledge, it is very easy to handle. That almost nobody may fall into depression at all. And if you have this knowledge, nobody will just do any kind of like suicide. So now in the modern world, there is so much kind of like a mental problem, because the samsaric mind become very narrow down, just only thinking, on oneself and one family, and kind of little bit of these hours, and not open, widely, just to have a great view. That's how all beings are same like oneself. And besides that, in Buddhism, talking about all these beings are one or other lifetime is yours, kind of like mother or father. So that is why in Buddhism there is so much of kind of like greater understanding to include all understanding beings as a part of one's practice to benefit and to help them. Because there is logical reason. Saying like your this present parents, how they are dear to you and how they are very kind and affectionate and caring and being nice, and that where one needs to repay back that kindness. Similar like that, when you understand all other sentient beings, one or other lifetime is one in the kind, especially like mother, then one know how to just view and to feel that sense of just unconditional love. You feel that unconditional love and loving kindness, and then also the compassion. Kind of natural sense of compassion. And when you have these qualities in your being, then everything is easy to kind of take care. That is why that Buddha and Guru Padmasambhava, that they have kind of taught all these kind of like teaching, part of which is certain part which we have gone through. Now I will just get into rest of these. But then there seems like have a just tea and something, so we'll do that offering. Yes, please enjoy. So they're saying, not every person typically command shady shapes and you come to me and new check or more in the some days. Benjamin, the origin, Jamaica, to give the room, the shape or one party, yes, and you get them to your room. Simply, you to make them give me and no much good not to room taking. I came to come actual and share and jingle up for 10 minutes to big a number for it. And so these are part of the qualities, the special qualities of the Guru Padmasambhava, how kind of like benefited to all those wherever he kind of like a dharma flourishing. Even Tibet that almost kind of all over the Tibet that saying Guru Padmasambhava not left any space that which he has not kind of left. Similar like in Khenchen, in Fiji, as you all know, how many holy places of Guru Padmasambhava everywhere, and that these places where Guru Padmasambhava just kind of like step over and did practices and attain certain level of realization, and that way it blessed the place itself. When we go for holy pilgrimage, it is blessed. That is why now all great masters say, in the ancient time, like Guru Padmasambhava and so forth, all those massive beings and highly realized beings, they bless the place. Now today when we go to holy places, that means holy places which has been blessed, that helps to receive blessing for us when we go to those places. Certain holy places, when you go there, naturally you feel very blissful, calm mind, and just inner joy and peace. Without any other reason, one feels that means it's receiving blessing, and that is how all these blessings can be kind of like received. And also Guru Padmasambhava prophesied. This our world, kind of in the far future, when it is just kind of like filled up with so much of kind of negative, negative side. And almost there is no much kind of dharma left, no much dharma practitioners find. And at that time, then as you might have heard, what is called Shambhala warriors. So at that time, Guru Padmasambhava himself will be the kind of the captain of the Shambhala warriors. And then 25 disciples of Guru Rinpoche and 80 Mahasiddhas from Indian Mahasiddhas, those all will be the, just as the warriors to just finish that negativity in the world, and then it will just all everything transform, rebuild into all in a virtuous way. Which is the Buddhas and Guru Rinpoches, Bodhisattvas, they anyway always care for the welfare of human beings and sentient beings. They are always there. Because for example, like what Guru Padmasambhava said, after he attained enlightenment, he had no anything else other than just to benefit the sentient being. So as we do, these supplication prayers through the 7 prayer, we will also definitely receive those kind of blessings because of his own commitment. He had that commitment how to kind of help. And these Buddhas and Guru Padmasambhava and enlightened beings, their kind of compassion is kind of like it is in one way it is a non-conceptual compassion or unconditional love. Means there is no anything discriminating. Their care for the sentient being, no discrimination of anything, whether they are just following their kind of teaching or not, but still their kind of compassion and the care for sentient beings are just kind of equal. For example, like the dear mother had some child very kind of able and good and nice and smart. And some are very negative, could not just listen to the parent. But the mother's kind of like a love and compassion and caring is equal. Someone who is naughty, they don't abandon. And similar like that, all they kind of care to all the sentient beings. Also, the Shinga was on the day and the young Khenchen Tsewang Gyatso Rinpoche and China the Jewish, the Guru Padmasambhava, to make the numbers of the Digi, from Muslim opportunity of the Kun days, from Guru Rinpoche needed for 2 days. So, in the future, whatever this our world conditions, the one important thing is to know that each and every one of us, how we are born here, whether we like to hear or not, the kind of the impermanence of life, and then kind of we die. So when we die, we are not going to die forever, because they say that is like all consciousness mind, and then the physical body got separate. So that mind continue to reborn. Continue to reborn means from this life, then consciousness goes into intermediate stage, what is called Bhagavad. Then from there again reborn for the next life. And that is not just one time or 100 times or million times. Each and every our individual consciousness, this mind, until we have this, kind of realization or recognition of, kind of the absolute nature of mind, due to that it is going to, kind of cycle in this, kind of world. Whether one believes or doesn't believe, doesn't matter. The nature is nature. Just it goes on. So when we understand that, then we know, this life is still, more easy to manage than the next life. So that is why we pay more, kind of like, pay more attention for the next life, that where you could be possibly born. So according to that, we need to understand about the law of karma. And according to that, we need to have understanding of this, the realization of true nature of mind. So that once we have this realization, after some time one gains certain kind of wisdom and having certain kind of purification, then one has the freedom. One has freedom whether when one wants to die, or if one dies, where one wants to born, and then how one wants to born. That kind of freedom after certain level of realization. And before that, we don't have that freedom. It is all completely based on the law of karma. Means what we do at this present lifetime through our body, which mind, the virtuous activity or non-virtuous activity, and that is the become cause and condition for the next life. So, in one way, we have full freedom or choice right now. Right now, born as a human, which is also mentioned as the precious human rebirth. And at this time, just next life where you want to born, as a human, or you want to born in God realm, or you want to attain liberation, or you want to transfer somewhere in kind of pure Buddha field, like Amita Pure Land or Guru Padmasambhava Pure Land. Right now we have full freedom and the choice in our hand. So this is very important to understand according to this, kind of like a teaching. So when one has this understanding, then we know how we need to kind of maintain in this our life in a virtuous way, meritorious way, in a more kind of like a meaningful way, more caring for all other beings, and not to involve so much into anything that what is kind of negative or non-virtuous. Try to kind of avoid. So these are very, very important for the happiness and good life of not just only this life, but even in the next many future lives. So Guru Padmasambhava himself saying, "Gangju Dhamma Shecha Dhamma Sanya Navataya Kuda Chu Papa Cheres Yon Sudive Kandu Yogi Mingo Pawi Kyo Kudu Kyo Kudu Chileta Nyani Kunang Dochi Chanjugo Chubu Kuna Tuji Topchen Deng Gana Kudu Chile Papoche Semjen Nan Ye Rewa Yishin Wong." So that's what Guru Padmasambhava said. Do you all get? No? Really? So that the same Guru Padmasambhava his own word, which means his Vajra words. Vajra is of course Sanskrit word. Vajra means indestructible. So indestructible means whatever Guru Padmasambhava or all these Buddha said, their words are indestructible because it is always true and honest. There is no any lies or cheating or confusing, no such word that all the enlightened speech is always very honest and true. So that is why that it never ever deceives. So that is the Guru Padmasambhava's words are Vajra words. That saying, oh, just myself, Peman Jume, Guru Padmasambhava is saying, kind of Peman. And came out of the limitless light, Buddha, which I mentioned this morning, Amitabha, from the Amitabha, kind of heart, free, and then, kind of like a manifested in form of, kind of Guru Padmasambhava. And Guru Padmasambhava's sense of compassion is, manifested from the great compassionate deity, all of Vishwara, Jealousy. All of Vishwara is Sanskrit. Because in English we don't have word. Because such kind of phenomena, like the all of Vishwara phenomena not existent in this in this English word. And such as like Dharmakaya, Sambhokaya, Nirmanakaya, Bhoskaya, enlightened forms. No English word. So that all use kind of like a Sanskrit. Anyway, that all of Vishwara is the charity. Of course, most of you all know charity is the definition of the compassion of all the past, present, and future Buddha. And that the same compassion is with the Guru Padmasambhava, the same Khenchen Tsewang Gyatso. And Guru Padmasambhava is the kind of like elders of all the enlightened beings. And as this morning, like 100,000 of devotees, just invoke with 7-line prayer, just Guru Padmasambhava comes on this earth to present as the, like a Gana Chakra Puja and so forth. So, and Guru Padmasambhava, his emanation or manifestation in so many different forms that whatsoever that could be, kind of useful, meaningful to, benefit, any other, kind of like ascension day, such as that Guru Padmasambhava manifests in, God realm, as a, kind of like a king of the God to, kind of benefit all the beings in the God realm. And he manifests into the, like a asura, the demigods, there to benefit all those sent beings. And then in the human realm, Guru Padmasambhava, kind of how happened about this more than 2,000 years before, that Guru Padmasambhava is not a story in real life, that happened. And even lately also, many great practitioners, they could have the vision and clear appearance of the Guru Padmasambhava wisdom form, can speak and give all those teaching, like Tibetan Buddhism, like kind of they was a great Khenchen Tsewang master, and so many of not just only the Nyingma masters, many of them Kadip masters and Sakya masters and Group masters, that many of them just kind of how when they practice, then Guru Padmasambhava will appear. And so that way he manifests. And the perfection of enlightenment of Guru Padmasambhava is equal to Kundu Sambho, the Dharmakaya, Buddha Saman Bhatra, the Dharmakaya, and that is the ultimate absolute reality, that which is not even separate from our own true nature of mind. This our mind is the absolute true nature of mind is not other than that Kundu Sambho, the Dharmakaya, Buddha Saman Bhatra. It's not different from Guru Padmasambhava himself. is not different from Shakyamuni Buddha. So these are the very, very profound things that talk in the kind of inner tantra. Right now, even as I mentioned, kind of this Dharmakaya, Samanvatra, and our absolute nature of mind, there is no difference and there is no separation. And this is it, not just that I am saying, I am creating. It is not me I am saying. It is what kind of like Buddha taught and what Guru Padmasambhava taught and what all my great masters taught. And that according to that, whatever I could possibly to understand and feel, to try to experience, and then I have that 100% belief. Oh, this is very true. And so that is why, kind of, I just translate that, kind of meaning. Otherwise, otherwise who is going to believe to me, I'm saying this. That's something like that, which doesn't, kind of like have the reality that which relates to establish with the logical reasoning. Something which is not logical reasoning is not necessarily it has to be kind of very true. So that way how Guru Padmasambhava kind of like explain, equal to Buddha Samanvatra. And at the same time, in the Western paradise, the Sukhavati, Amitabha's Pure Land, and Amitabha Buddha and Guru Padmasambhava, saying that there is no, kind of like a difference. And Shakyamuni Buddha in Buddha-gaya, who attained enlightenment, and Guru Padmasambhava, there is no difference. All of the Shara in the kind of pure field of, just the jealousy, there is no difference. Relatively, that seems like Shakyamuni Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, all of Ishvara, Guru Padmasambhava, that all these things, kind of like just feel like all these are different. But once they have complete enlightenment, in that state of enlightened mind, they are not separate. So what we see separate is our conceptual thinking. Or this Guru Padmasambhava, kind of like this, Shakyamuni Buddha is different, and then all Vishwara, the jealousy is kind of different. It's our mind always have this dualistic thought. Dualistic thought means always thinking two, good, bad, right, wrong, permanent, impermanent. And then here and there, I and you, and so forth, all this dualistic mind. That is our samsaric mind, which is kind of like deluded. So enlightened mind, it is all kind of in that nature. So according to that saying, those who have faith and trust and devotion to Guru Padmasambhava have one understanding. That Guru Padmasambhava's sense of kind of easy, compassion and receiving the blessing, it is much more faster than any other Buddha, and that is because of Guru Padmasambhava's his own commitment. It's not that because Guru Padmasambhava's enlightenment is higher than other Buddha. It's not that way. But one just make that commitment, especially for this what is called degenerating period of time. Degenerating. The degenerating in a like the view. The view is getting degenerated. And the other thing, this the degenerating of this afflictive emotion. For example, this hatred, anger, desire, pride. From Buddha's time now, this our afflictive emotion become more kind of like stronger. So now if one have that, just faith, trust and devotion to Guru Padmasambhava, his kind of sense of compassion to benefit and pain is much faster. Until this whole complete samsaric sentient beings be exhausted, till to that Guru Padmasambhava sees compassion and kind of benefiting sentient beings will never exhaust it. So it is always there. Chasing Bhattalos, there was some image of a the two names. So then here we could relate with this, just what is this about whom Uji Jam. So what that means, whom and Ujin Yu or Nujam Tham, those words, what that means in relation with the settlement prayer. So saying whom is a word, is a seed level of all the Buddhas, kind of like a enlightened mind, seed level. And that is why this Guru Padmasambhava's just enlightened mind seed level is whom, and that which is saying Ramchuntuki, self-arriving enlightened mind of the Guru Padmasambhava, and that seed level is whom. When we jump whom, so means we are directly kind of connecting to Guru Padmasambhava's enlightened mind. Just saying, expressing whom. So we are just kind of like almost, relatively saying, almost like waking him up. Oh, Guru Padmasambhava, we are here just praying to you to wake up. And to, kind of that whom, which you jump from that whom meaning, in that way. Well, somebody reserve your job, living this usual nobody was there, and Nuna, it wasn't like a man, completely living so that whom, Odin Yul. So, Odin Yul is that in this our world, also that they have, kind of east, east, west, north, south. And then kind of like a cardinal direction, and then up and down. In all those directions, there are kind of Buddha fields. And where there are Buddha fields, there are also kind of 6 realms of sentient beings. And like this all world, those are existing. And according to that, based on the Abhidhamma Sutra. In Abhidhamma Sutra talks about the kind of like the cosmology of this our earth. And according to that, there is Abhidhamma Kosh, which is written by Indian scholars, just Vasubandhu, Lobinini. And similarly, this cosmology explained in Kalachakra Tantra also. And also that by great Dr. Master Rocharanjam in his Shinda that explained, talk about how these 6 realms of external world, internal living, how it can exist. So there are kind of all those explanations contribute so that towards the kind of western direction, there is the kind of like a Dakini, kind of field or Dakini, kind of like a belly that which is now named as Ujjain, or the as mentioned Odiana, Odiana in Tibetan Buddhism, which is kind of like the northwest of the India, that West Pakistan and the Afghanistan, that area. Where Guru Padmasambhava, once upon a time there was that lake of Guru Padmasambhava born there. Nema or the country in Nubjang or northwest. So in Tibetan, Nub means west. That Jang means kind of like a north. So in between that is kind of direction. Nubjang come in that kind of like a border. Some Jimmy like and children on Tano Koshashima, and the Chonde, Dumi, or Dumi, no young people to meet but that so that lake, and that lake can explain that, from the absolute point of view, it is that kind of lake which symbolizes the emptiness nature. Relatively, it is a lake. From the absolute point of view, there is this kind of like a emptiness and kind of nature, and where there is kind of like a thousands of lotus, and in the center there is the queen of the kind of lotus, which has as mentioned this morning, 3 layers kind of color. That they put so people that are going to the demo Nubjang, northwest, Nubjang, come in between, not just some. Then what is there? Pema, that Pema is that kind of lotus that where Guru Padmasambhava was born. Pema. Kesa means the kind of sprout of the flower in the center, and Tombo is the kind of crystal, the trunk of the lotus. So these all, what it is explaining is where that kind of like in which the lotus that Guru Padmasambhava was kind of like born is kind of like Pema, that which has 1,000 petals. And gather and that the crystals of the flower and then the trunk and where there are kind of like 5 colors of lotus, which is symbolizing 5 wisdom. So those 5 wisdom and actually right now as an ultimate standard being, we have these 5 absolute emotions. Hatred, anger, desire, pride, ignorance. This afflict emotion. So if we could recognize their true nature, then they are 5 wisdom. That kind of like Chuni means kind of wisdom of the Dharmata. Nyami means kind of the wisdom of evilness. Meloni kind of like mirror-like wisdom. And the Soto is individual kind of wisdom. Like that, just if we could somehow just let it go, this afflict emotion, and just try to abide in this natural state, then we are experiencing those wisdom. But in this world, only unless those who have received this kind of teaching, otherwise who else is possible to understand or think or try to do their practice? Nobody. When you are angry, anger, afflicted mind. And then according to that one, kind of put into action, but only saying harsh words, physically, putting into such an action. And that is what it is creating what is called karma. And when one anger arises, according to the inner karma, anger arises, instead of acting according to that anger, just look into the anger, what it looks like. And when you look into it, so it is an emotion. Just an emotion. So when you look into it, then since it is an emotion, there is no anything concrete, solid, true existence of, kind of like anger that which has a shape, form like this and that. You cannot find it. It is just an emotion like a thought. So when you look into it, you see its nature. Oh, it's just an emotion, just a thought. There is no anything concrete, solid, substantial, kind of like a thing somewhere that can be, visible. That is how to do, kind of like instant meditation practice, directly working with one's emotion, like any other emotion. And when you do that, you don't have to work so hard to apply some antidote to get rid of that anger. You just feel and relax. And then you see, when you put to transform that into wisdom, you see that to all these certain things, instead of anger, you develop compassion. You feel naturally compassion. That is how these kind of emotions can be what is called transformed into 5 wisdom. Because the 5 wisdoms are there in our nature. It's not necessarily have to come from Buddha or Guru Padmasambhava or from Pure Land or from certain master or from certain blessing. No need to, just have to know its nature. So anyway, if you could understand that, you just try. Instead of kind of with anger yelling to somebody, you just look into your mind. Hatred, anger, jealousy, pride, ignorance. This all, if you act according to it, it is creating karma. Then you have already assembled causes condition to reborn in samsara. In samsara, it is already there, its consequences, its suffering. It's suffering. So if you don't want to experience suffering, you should not accumulate the cause and condition of this suffering with this etheric emotion and with this action. And if you want to experience happiness, then look into it and just relax to realize its true nature as wisdom. So that what is this here also kind of explaining that how this 5 color kind of lotus appear is symbolizing the 5 wisdom. And also that the 5 color flowers, and which is also symbolizing the 5 Gyan Buddhas. And in the center, then there is a kind of red flower, which is the red lotus, the flower of the lotus. Depuis le temps de licence, mais je n'ai pas de ici, un nombre de données, le nombre de troubles, sommet de coaching de trash de pays bureau de Tamati, and then the people who are digital bureau, so that when the time comes for that need to be tamed to be kind of sentient being, then this Buddha manifests. That how from Amitabha Buddha some kind of tree and then manifest, went to the Kanapashade, and then instantly appear Guru Padmasambhava. That is what we kind of this morning I explained in a very short form. So that's how these are kind of like happen. And all everything when there is the right time, right situation, right condition, things will happen itself. So, to create that opportunity, then we have to assemble, kind of like a right cause and condition to involving into more, kind of meritorious or virtuous way. 디지털은 조직이 대화는 세대 대화는 참여가 너무 훨씬 강물을 신기게 하고 아무도 던져보는 것도 저보다 지금은 단지 서든 지구에 지나가 움직인데 안다도 의미의 fuel 바발에 so that all the Buddhas of the 10 direction and all the kind of bodhisattvas and so forth that when instantly this Guru Padmasambhava emerged out of that sea, only this lotus, that is Buddha's praise and kind of showering with kind of flowers, and then surrounded by all these datas and dakinis and Buddhas and bodhisattvas, even including from the lake Nagas. They just come out and make all sorts of kind of jewels and kind of like chakras and conch shells, all those kind of offering to Guru Padmasambhava, that which is 8-year-old kind of jolly form, that they making that offering, and all these datas and dakinis are singing songs in a very melodious way with poetical expression in praise of Guru Padmasambhava, and that which kind of like the whole kind of theme is almost like a pure Buddha feel. That how it is kind of like happened at that moment. So, Siva Sunnatumen and Dictate Lovin Jubber, the Guru Juba name, and Cherry to Jabba. The major of Kusanam, Kusana, the Watu, now good, the reason to do something which was the company of Sydney, that is also that from the Guru Padmasambhava's kind of enlightened form. Enlightened form is the result of the kind of like accumulations of merit, enough of the merit, and that they obtain this kind of enlightened form, which kind of externally looks like flesh and bone, like kind of form, but in reality it is that. Since it is enlightened, there is no anything like ordinary substances, and through which that kind of movement just seeing him, that just help to benefit, and that could gain the sentient being. Even when Guru Padmasambhava traveled to the kind of Tibet, on the way there are so many of those nagas, so many of that demonic forces, so many of that evil forces. Even they try to challenge with him, just throwing like 100 balls. But then Guru Padmasambhava, with this one mood of the like a vajra, kind of moving to them, and everything just kind of dissolved, and they all, finally they have to show their own kind of like figure and come in front of him, and then kind of confess, and then they all become what is kind of oath-bound protectors. That they say, oh, now we will never just harm anybody, we will never do any kind of negativity, whatever Guru, whatever your comments are, we are going to kind of follow. And that is how they become oath-bound to Guru Rinpoche, that they will only protect the Dharma, they will only protect the Dhamma practitioners, they will only protect those who are just falling into right way. And once they make that commitment, they will just do it 100%. Because they are oath-bound, because they make that promise. Not like, some of the people that, oh, yes sir, I will do everything, whatever you say. If they are out of it, they go all upside down. So that not maintaining that commitment. So just when we look into it, somebody who is very sincere and wants to make commitment, kind of maintain and very honest and true. No matter whoever that person, everybody appreciates. Everybody likes it. No matter whatever that kind of person comes from, what kind of tradition, what kind of system, what kind of religion, what kind of culture, doesn't matter. And somebody who made commitment, and then they will all do everything, kind of like a opposite, just lying. Then who is going to appreciate that? So that makes the difference what is meant by negative and what is meant by positive. Virtues and non-virtues. So it is all that how we know in our relative life what commitment we make, we just try to follow. And so these Dhamma projectors are also in that way, they just kind of like a follow. From Guru Padmasambhava's time, like 7th, 8th century, now 21st century. All these protectors are today also they are maintaining that commitment. When they follow Guru Padmasambhava's command, they never disgrace, they never deceive, they never lie, they never just try to be very tricky. So that way we have to train ourselves. So Chaitanya Jua, then soon his speech, all his kind of teaching, is teaching like not only his Dharma teaching, but every single word is like teaching. And there is no any kind of like word which is kind of like very ordinary or something kind of like discipline. Not possible for the enlightened being. And through that it is kind of like gain. And then the enlightened mind in a way just know. One thing that the enlightened Buddhas, the enlightened deities, the enlightened masters being, they know they are supposed to have this clear minds about that every individual, their kind of like faculty, what kind of level of mind, sharp level, middle level, dull level. So these kind of teachings are given in that way. For the kind of dull level mind, given the very easy, kind of like easy to understand, easy to follow, easy to practice, which is kind of fit with their mind. For example, like Buddha did first they brought the world to teaching that all the ordinary people we could understand in that way. And for the middle level, talking about prajna, paramita, about emptiness. So one whose mind is in that level, then kind of given that teaching. Those who are in a sharp level of mind, who are just like this, Vajrayana, just something, five afflicting emotions are, their true nature is five wisdom. Someone who has sharp mind, then kind of thought in that way, could understand. For the dull level of mind, you can like explain that, get confused, forget about understanding. And that is what it says, for the child, like a just newly born baby, you have to feed with the, just kind of like mama's breath. You cannot say, this food is very delicious, I love it, you eat it. Not possible. And as the child grown up a little bit, then only can get a little bit more, kind of like a raw food, and that which is good to digest. In the same way, that there are so many different levels of our mind, and that levels of mind, who created that levels of mind? Nobody else, oneself. For example, in this lifetime, one educated into this Dharma and study and practice, and then one's mind is becoming more sharper and more sharper and sharper, because one's are purified, the obscurations purified, and that way it is possible to become from dull level of mind to sharp level of mind, sharp level of mind to sharper level of mind. and might become more and more, kind of like, and that is individual. Those who never have any opportunity to receive, such kind of basic dharma or philosophy or these, kind of measures of these, teaching, never ever heard, then their mind, kind of, even in the next lifetime, can be down. Not easy to understand. So that is why it is important to, just involve into whatever these, kind of like dharma teachings, that which is something based on its reality, how it is beneficial. In a common sense, how this, kind of like useful, how much it is, kind of like gain wisdom, understanding, knowledge. And when you have that, how much you feel, relieved about so many problems. That's what we just kind of like, educate ourselves. That the Guru Padmasambhava's, enlightened mind, kind of just knows all different levels of, kind of mind, or the sharp level faculty, or what, according to that, kind of those teachings are given. Plus that whatever it is necessary to perform any kind of miraculous activities that could be instant it can benefit. For example, like Guru Padmasambhava, kind of life story, that when kind of came to certain days, kind of like forest states, and then kind of doing meditation, and then kind of Indian king in the body, his daughter Mandarawa, and from many other countries, kind of prince that wants to, kind of like they as their, kind of princess to the king. The king, that requested, but then Mandarawa never wants to go anywhere. She wants to dedicate herself into Dharma. And then when Guru Padmasambhava came in this, kind of northern part of India, then kind of when she heard about, and then she always go there and receive teaching. And then the ministers, there are also some native ministers, they said, "Oh, king, no, your daughter, just when these all other countries, prince that requested for, kind of their wife, and she don't want to go. Now she is going there into the cave, there is a, Indian soul who looks like somebody who is there. And then king got so mad, and then, and then there is Guru Padmasambhava just giving teaching. And then the king's when doesn't have enough wisdom, enough sense of intellectual mind to examine, to analyze, and just only just hear whatever the minister said, or one believe in that way, just kind of like blindly, and then say, "Oh, this is kind of, you are the one who is deceiving my daughter in this way," and then they both brought and put into, kind of like a place where they piled firewood and then kerosene oil and then try to burn. But Guru Padmasambhava, kind of enlightened, just they put that fire. And then just the king ordered, nobody is allowed to go to that area for like 1 week, because they worried somebody may come and help to get rid of those fire and something. So for 1 whole week, 7 days burning fire. And then the king is also wondering, how is it possible? After 2-3 days the fire will be gone, woods burned, that people burn everything, then there would be no more fire. But it is still continuing. And then when king went there, and then that all the wood, transformed into lotus flowers, all the kerosene oil transformed into, lake, and in that Guru Padmasambhava, kind of still much more dignifying, kind of like there, just. And they saw still not even touch tiny bit of his, hair also. And then the king surprised how this is kind of like possible. And then saw that, oh, this is not an ordinary kind of like being, must be enlightened. And then he gets so relaxed and kind of like a story, and then he confessed, and then he invited to the kind of like palace, and that kind of miraculous. Once one have that wisdom realization, the emptiness nature, then this relative fire cannot burn one's body, because it is gone beyond any ordinary substance. It is all wisdom. So that wisdom cannot be burnt by this ordinary fire. So that kind of like miraculous ability that which help to transform the negative thought of the king and the whole public, then he became very devoted to Guru Padmasambhava, and then also just his daughter Mandarawa kind of like come out. So there are very long stories, however it is all happened. And it is not just a story, but it was the reality at that time, that kind of just real thing happened. And that is how the king and all his subjects become just kind of good Dharma, followers and kind of like a practitioner. So so in the Buddhist one group, and then anyway after that day, just Guru Padmasambhava then went to Nalanda University and educate everything, and then Guru said, whom Yukjam Sam, Pema Kesar Dongwa, that Pema Kesar, Pema that lotus, Kesar that kind of lotus spill, and then the trunk and all everything talking about that the just inner quality of enlightened Guru Padmasambhava, kind of his enlightened mind and body, speech and so forth. Then my Kesar Dongwa, then Yamten is kind of like amazing, something wonderful. And what is about amazing and wonderful about Guru Padmasambhava is that of his kind of like his physical body, the enlightened body, cannot be burned by the fire, cannot be carried by the water, cannot be cleansed by the kind of rocks and the like any other weapon. For example, like how Guru Padmasambhava's his body is called rainbow body, rainbow body. So rainbow, you see rainbow, it looks like a beautiful color, but you cannot touch. There is no any substance yet, but you can see very clearly. So Guru Padmasambhava's body is also kind of this rainbow body. In sense that when Guru Padmasambhava gave all those empowerment and teaching in Tibet to the King Jitsu and all his disciples and rest of the subject, and then the king got so much devotion and trust and faith, so he stood up and then went to the Guru Padmasambhava, and then he made 3 rounds, like circumambulating, and then after that he drew prostration, and then he bowed on his forehead to Guru Padmasambhava's knee to touch, he bowed down. And as he bowed down, then the king's forehead went through the Guru Padmasambhava's body and touched on the cushion. There is no one, just touch on the cushion. He took it, Guru Padmasambhava's knee is there, body is there. But he touched, cannot feel. So that what is called rainbow body, there is no any substantial thing, and that is called Vajra body. That is indestructible, cannot be destroyed by anything, because it is gone beyond cause and condition. So it is uncompounded phenomenon, not compounded by cause and condition. So our body compounded because of this kind of like in the very beginning, our consciousness and mind entered into the mother womb, and with the kind of like fathers, mothers, kind of this and between, and then that with the five element, kind of like from tiny dot to just slowly, week by week, becoming bigger and then perform this whole body. So it is compounded by thought and condition. After we born, then again we, kind of depend upon these five elements: water, fire, earth, wind, space. And if always these five elements are there to, kind of nurture this our physical body, plus those, kind of like foods and the dreams. So our body is compounded. So anything that whatsoever is compounded is subject to change, impermanence. That in Tibetan Buddhism, this, kind of the logic, Dharmakritis logic explain anything that which is compounded phenomena, it is subject to kind of change and subject to impermanence. So now you look into this world, these houses and temples and tall buildings and our bodies and lands and waters and rivers and mountains. It's all just look into it. It's all compounded with some kind of cause and condition. That is why it is always impermanent. In this whole world, you will never ever find. You will never ever find a single entity that which is kind of like permanently existing. You cannot find. That is talking about the truth and reality of the phenomena, how it is impermanent in nature. So enlightenment, Guru Padmasambhava body, that what called Vajara body, indestructible, because when it goes beyond this, kind of like compounded phenomena become uncompounded, like the space. Then it becomes kind of permanent, and that is why Guru Padmasambhava, after kind of benefiting in Tibet, then he left to Copper mountain. So never died. Guru Padmasambhava just Mahaprabhu Nirvana never left anybody outside there. So it is already transformed into enlightened form. So that is why, in the copper color mountain, take care of all these cannibals, and again, as we do Sevana prayer and practice and continue that, and then Guru Padmasambhava can appear his wisdom body, just to appear in kind. It will not take even just a second. Once we have this kind of like strong faith, devotion, and trust and rely upon Guru Padmasambhava, it can be kind of appear. So that what is the difference between kind of enlightened form and then uncompounded. So the most amazing, most wonderful, even his body, and then his speech of kind of like the enlightened speech. With the one word, there will be thousands of kind of beings. Every individual can hear according to their own language. That is called the enlightened speech. So our kind of like the human language is self-characterized. The Tibetan language is Tibetan self-characterized language, and English and the Chinese and Vietnamese or any other world language is self-characterized. So that is why if we don't learn that language, we need translation. For the enlightened beings, that their enlightened language is not self-characterized. So that is why kind of like they can hear exactly according to their own language. So that is all, especially of the amazing thing that which is kind of Yangzen talking to me, that the supreme accomplishment. Then those 8, kind of how Guru Padmasambhava manifested into 8, forms, and that on specific, kind of like a month, and year, on specific purpose, that is to benefit, kind of like a sentient being, and that is perform these, 8 different, kind of like a manifestation. That which is a kind of miraculous, kind of like activity. And all those demonic forces, negative forces, evil forces, whatever, even maras, that there is no anything that which is not become unbound to the promise of God. Just all that, however they have their own some sense of kind of power, try to attack, but they could not defeat with the kind of Guru Padmasambhava. That extraordinary kind of quality, that is why the Guru Padmasambhava is at this hour, the bright year, he is also known as the second Buddha. So Buddha, just like Shakyamuni Buddha, right now is Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching, which is 2,500 years ago, Buddha taught, and his kind of Dharma teaching is still alive. And so until to this our life just kind of like a degenerating our ages, becoming kind of reduced, and the people live for like 10 years old. It goes down. And then when people just 10 years old, then there will be coming that the emanation of the Maitreya Buddha, the fifth Buddha emanation. And he is just kind of like special in that way, and then you come to ask him, why you are just very special? Because he followed all the virtuous activities. So that virtuous is the accumulating merit, and when you have merit, everything is kind of more successful. That in Tibetan say, sonam yuthok, meritorious accumulations. So that way, so that the most amazing, kind of like a quality of this, enlightened body, enlightened speech, enlightened kind of mind, enlightened activity. All the activities is also, kind of whatever tiny activities maybe, it is going to benefit sentient being. No any kind of like activities left out, without any kind of result, to benefit. So that's what it is, kind of like Yamden Choki Mutubni, that Ujjini Jinujamsam, then my Kerala, then third line, Yamden Choki Mutubni, how to come from those enlightened bodies with mind. And that who is that, who opened all this quality is Pema, the fourth line, Pema June Shekha, Pema June, Pema means, lotus. June means kind of like one who arrives out of the kind of lotus, because Guru Padmasambhava born in lotus. So that is Guru Pema June Shekha. Pema, lotus, June means enlightenment, and that is one who have all this amazing quality is Guru Padmasambhava, Pema June Shekha. Then in Khenchen Tsewang Gyatso. So So someone who have obtained enlightened body, speech, mind and activity, everything, same like you, we want to follow. So we are kind of praying to you, doing this supplication prayer to you. Take care of how to be, after you, we want to follow your footsteps and we want to kind of actualize exactly like you to be kind of enlightened to benefit the rest of all other sentient beings. Take care. Please just come forth and give us the blessing. Give us the blessing. So here that giving the blessing and so forth, that here is kind of not just only receiving a blessing, but actually through the blessing of Guru Padmasambhava, as one getting very devoted to this practice, then one could experience one's own absolute nature of mind. And that is what calls kind of like an actual blessing, the final result of the blessing that one can experience one's pure nature. Then Guru Padmasambhava. So this Guru Padmasambhava, the mantra that all those tomorrow still we have time, I'll kind of explain a little bit about this tomorrow. And then stop here. I don't know if anybody have any time for to ask any questions.
Question answer. मात्र 15 मिनट जतिको लागि हुनेछ किनभने अब समय निकै गइसकेको छ कसैको क्वेसन छ भने गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ
Guruji. So Guruji, this is my first time exposure to Buddhism, and before this I was in Myanmar, and over there we had Mahamuni Buddhism. So my question to you is, Guruji, what I personally feel that self and our future generation, we should allow them to experience all kind of religions and then all kind of spiritual practices, and then the choice should be given to the child to pick up whichever spiritual practice they want to. So like I am a Punjabi Guruji, but my parents have been very supportive. They know that I come and attend the lecture here and I visit monastery. So I hope, Guruji, in this sense I am not hurting my parents in any way.
In one way, this modern world, modern thinking, modern concept, that everybody should have their own freedom. So that is why, kind of like parents maybe not necessarily insist to follow this religion or this path because I am following, kind of just we say just should not do it, and people have freedom. In one way, it is understandable. But the other thing is so much dependent upon that individual, their own karma, their own previous lifetime background, their own kind of capability, their own just sort of kind of like interest. It is so much kind of like dependent on that, based on what they have come out from their past lifetime, certain kind of habitual tendency. That nobody can change. Nobody can do anything, because sometimes one brings to some religion and then kind of do this after some time. That never feel just fit with it, and always have the question, why I have to do this, why I have to do this, why I have to do this. And you kind of like then go through some quest, looking into, and finally come to certain thing that, oh, this makes sense. This is what I wanted for. So that is how they make their own kind of like decision. But then at the same time, sometimes it is good to just have all sorts of exposition. Was the exposition for religions or anything. And then kind of like a certain kind of condition, one may just kind of like sometimes maybe restrictedly follow certain things which is not necessarily kind of beneficial to oneself in the long run, because it is not logical way of understanding. If it is not the truth, if it is not the kind of like based on the kind of reality of the relative truth or absolute truth, something which is not related to kind of its kind of true nature, then kind of like believing certain thing, it is waste of time. So there need skillful means, kind of seeing whatever one have kind of clear understanding about any kind of like path or spiritual, that which makes sense, that which is beneficial, that which from any other angle when look, it makes sense, then it is something meaningful that one can, kind of like let the child know. But still, that the child has that, kind of like option. Maybe, that will follow, or maybe, kind of again, just, goes through, change. So it has to be very skillful to, how to just raise, child and how to, help others according to that, especially the spiritual part, which is very, very important.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah.
Oh, my question for you would be, when we're chanting mantras and prayers, right, is it necessary to visualize? And for example, if I'm praying or chanting the seven line prayers and I'm needing to visualize Guru Rinpoche, how am I exactly supposed to imagine? Could you please describe?
The one thing is about Guru Padmasambhava, that Guru said. Actually, it is good to learn more about Guru Padmasambhava's life history and have more knowledge. And when one have more knowledge, more understanding about how Guru Padmasambhava is, kind of like relatively and absolutely, just the enlightened being, and that kind of beneficial when one gains that kind of wisdom. Then that it is easy to develop that what is called faith and trust, and that be devotion. Once one have devotion with that kind of trust and reliance to the object of refuge as Guru Padmasambhava, because one knows how Guru Padmasambhava is kind of enlightened and qualified and would never ever deceive. And so that devotion is the main key, becomes just important. And with that devotion, even one just can do the seven prayer or Guru Padmasambhava mantra Guru Padmasambhava, and just with that devotion, just doing that practice, one can gain the blessing and accomplishment. And but it is good to have that visualization that because there are Guru Padmasambhava statues or photos, that there is one picture, Guru Padmasambhava picture in Tibet, kind of like a Samya monastery used to have. That today this picture is also there. That Guru Padmasambhava, many of the great scholars, just they want to make a statue of Guru Padmasambhava. So that means the Guru Padmasambhava, his physical body appearance is very, very powerful and dignified, that people just somehow cannot dare to look directly to him, just kind of like all the way. So that is why they just said, oh, Guru Padmasambhava sit near a lake, and then his reflection comes into the water. And then they look into the water, and then like many of these, like Vimalajita and so forth, they make this statue. And after they complete that statue, then they show to Guru Padmasambhava just how this kind of statue that we know about you. And then he looked at it and said, oh, that looks like me. So that picture is called looks like me, Guru Nadama. So kind of very similar to his appearance. That picture and that picture, kind of then one can imagine, visualizing from or above one's head, how he appeared, and then that one just that imagination, visualization, feel that this is the real Guru Padmasambhava, the wisdom form. And with that devotion, then one can do Sarvana prayer, and then the Bhajan Guru mantra, kind of like as much as one can, and according to that, one will go through process of purification and receiving blessing, and after some time, internally one can feel that the difference of receiving blessing is not like mentally imagination, one can feel it. That way it is become beneficial.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask one more question?
Guruji, in today's time, when the world is so competitive, and when we come to monastery, we feel that peace of mind and that eternal togetherness. But the moment we are out of the monastery and we are back home, we see that there are people who are so competitive in their nature that they will do backbiting and then they'll try to pull you down. So how to maintain that demeanor where you are not affected by such people and you follow your right path and
So that is all actually completely depending upon one's mind training. That one have to train one's mind, just not be affected by whatsoever competitive and whatsoever, kind of like disgusting thought, whatever the, kind of like surrounding, kind of like all these emotional disturbances that, kind of need to see as, kind of in a way, something like illusion. And just make oneself more strong and stable, that how one feel more kind of like peaceful when the environment is like in a temple or in a spiritual place, how one's mind feels. And that sense of the mind training, that sense of the mind, kind of like atmosphere, how one feel, try to just focus and retain that when oneself in the world, just not to be, distracted by any other competitive or any other negative forces, not be disturbed, and then one just try to maintain. So, to maintain that mind training, every time just try to train one's mind, thinking about compassion, thinking about kind of loving kindness, and thinking about the, if possible, some sense of like a samadhi, shamatha meditation, to kind of look into one's mind and then kind of meditate on compassion, meditate on loving kindness, meditate on kind of like emptiness, and those if one every time kind of try to maintain and train one's mind to develop that quality in one's being, then once it gets more stabilized, then outside whatsoever it kind of would not kind of disturb. So that way have to go through mind training, and whatever competitive is just all this samsara. The all samsaric mind just flows in that way. So one has to work with one's mind, not just kind of like disturbed by that, just try to let it go. Try to let it go and maintain that kind of like peaceful. So that is why I say peace in the mind, peace in the world. There is no possible we could make everybody kind of become like Buddha, Bodhisattva to make this peace. So have to maintain one's mind, just kind of like constantly kind of practicing in a peaceful way. So that have to try. So no question, maybe still we have tomorrow. The questions are actually good, They are this question, it is whatever doubt one have, just try to clear out. So that will be I think based on the time we stop here. So we do dedication, but at the end there is kind of in Nepalese language, those who could not understand English, I don't know, and those who could understand much better in Nepalese, then there will be some kind of like the condensed explanation or kind of for any period of time. So because that we do this merit, whatever we accumulate, we want to kind of share to all sentient beings, to all material sentient beings. So this virtue then becomes a cause and condition for them to experience peace and happiness and all the way to liberation and enlightenment. With that intention, we do this, dedication prayer. Thank you.